I've learned that there's never a one-size-fits-all approach to visualizing the fretboard. Different things click for different people. For some, it's the cage system. For others, it's arpeggios or intervals or the pentatonic positions. Our brains all work in unique ways, but there are some smaller tricks and methods that can help you no matter which system you prefer. And today I want to show you the very first navigation trick that ever really clicked for me, the 2-2-1 rule. And it's something that I still use to this very day to orient myself on the fretboard and never feel lost. It all starts with the major scale, the foundation for just about everything in Western music. Now, in music, we have 12 notes that continually repeat up or down, and to make them sound musical, we have to eliminate some of them. We do this by applying something called the major scale formula, which narrows these 12 notes down to 7 notes to create a major scale. The easiest way to learn and remember the major scale formula is as a phone number. Now, I'm not sure how phone numbers work in other parts of the world, but here in Canada and also in the US, our phone numbers are a group of 3 digits, a dash, and then a group of 4 digits. Our major scale formula follows that very pattern. So we have 2, 2, 1, dash, 2, 2, 2, 1. So 2 groups of 2s that end with a 1. This makes it very easy to visualize and actually remember where those 1s are among all the 2s. These 2s and 1s are intervals that tell us which notes to leave out when creating our major scale. So let's say we want to create a C major scale. We start on the C note and we apply our formula. So we move 2 and we take the D. Move 2, take the E, then 1 and take the F. Then we go 2 again, take the G, then 2, take the A, 2 again to take the B, and finally 1 to resolve us and land back on the note we started on, which is the C. Now, if I played those notes for you, they would sound like this. I'm sure you probably recognize that, and this would all work the same with whichever major scale I wanted to create. I can start on any one of the 12 notes, apply this formula, and I would have that major scale. So how does this apply to the fretboard? Well, this whole 2-2-1 thing becomes really helpful in positioning your shapes and scales and ultimately seeing the fretboard in a more horizontal manner. Let's create another major scale, but this time we're going to start on an E note. And we actually have 2 E strings, so let's use one of them to visualize the E major scale. First, we play the E, and then we apply our formula. So we go up 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. So a little quicker. Now what I want you to focus in on is the 1 intervals. So this one here, and this one up here. These are the only 2 points where the notes in the key are right next to each other. And we can use these as important landmarks to tell us where certain vertical shapes should be positioned horizontally on the fretboard. For example, our position 1 of the pentatonic for this key sits right here. We've also got our full E major scale here as well. And even our relative minor scale, which is a C sharp minor. Speaking of the C sharp minor, right on top of that, we've got a C sharp minor chord, which is one of the most important chords in the key of E major because it is the relative minor. So that little 1 interval tells us exactly where horizontally all that stuff should be. Our other 1 interval tells us where another important shape is located as well, because a C sharp minor chord also exists right here. And on top of that, we have what I consider to be the second most useful scale position, position 4, which also gives us the pentatonic major and minor scales. So here's the pentatonic. Here's the major scale. And then the C sharp minor scale. So when I'm in the key of E major, I use these one interval landmarks to tell me very quickly which shape goes where. It's the first thing that lights up in my mind when I look down at the fretboard before anything else. Then once I can see those, I can start filling in the spaces between them with any other shapes I might know. The coolest thing about all of this is that it works for every key. You just shift things up or down the fretboard. Let me show you in a nice comfy key like G major. Now obviously we don't have the luxury of having our open string here being a G note, but we can still have a G major scale on the high E string. It'll just start a little further up. So we've got a G note right here on the 3rd fret, and then we just apply our major scale formula. So 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. Once again, we have these one interval landmarks. We have this one here, and this one up here. And they tell us in the key of G major where those two shapes should exist. So we've got our position 1 shape right here on this interval. There's the pentatonic, our major, and then our relative minor, which is E minor. And the all-important 6th chord and relative minor of G major, that E minor chord sits right on top. Then we've got our other shapes on the other one interval, 6th chord for this key. That E minor chord sits right there. We've got the pentatonic. For position 4 here, we've got our major scale. So this case is going to be a G major scale. And our relative minor scale, which is an E minor scale. These one intervals only exist in 2 places within the key, meaning they're always going to tell you where these shapes should go. Again, these 2 2 1s on the high E string are the first thing I look for in every key I can possibly play in. Then everything else I know gets dropped on top of those important landmarks. As I mentioned, these one interval landmarks exist in every other key as well. They're just going to be shifted up or down the fretboard depending on the key that you're in. So from here, you should watch my lesson on further visualizing the fretboard. I'm going to put a link up in the middle of the screen for you if you want to check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.